And a belated clap.
Okay, can you at least hear me?
I can hear you fine. And for our viewers out there, we had to kind of restart because we had technical issues with our second clip recording, and it's cut out somewhere in between. So Mark and I we made a plan B. We're resetting, and we're just going to try and pick up and go again.
Yeah. Well, can only do what we can only do. So.
One more time.
So, dude, what have you been watching? What's been keeping you busy?
Deja vu. I've been here before, but I've already broken the deja vu by going. It's like deja vu. We've just made another timeline, like right there. Timeline 2.
Pulling some Doctor Strange shit here.
Yeah, man. I've watched a lot. There's been a lot since our last recording session. I don't know what it was. I had this urge to I wasn't in the mood or the right mindset. I don't know what. Just I didn't read as much as I probably should have, but there's just so much coming out on Netflix in particular. And I don't know if you've noticed it, where like just recently, almost weekly, new great movies, series, content, they are just pumping it out.
Yeah, dude. I think they're just like trying to acquire everything just to be like number one. Like it's actually interesting you saw that. Sorry, you said that. I saw on Instagram. I don't know if you've ever seen a lot of people do like on DeviantArt where they do this like sort of conceptual graphic design for the fun of it.
Yes.
And some dude had like this very Blade Runner looking picture he made, and this dude was standing on a cliff of like this city landscape, and there was these tall like buildings, and the one was Netflix and the one was Apple, and it was just so relevant to me. It's like how these big corporations are just taking over the fucking world, and in maybe 10-20 years, like there'll be an Apple car, there'll be like we'll be so indoctrinated into this. So I do think you're right. I mean, it is cool that they're bringing out so much content, but the paranoid side of me is like, they're taking over the world.
They are at a rate of knots, sadly enough. And just on that note, it's just new series, new seasons are coming out of certain things. One of the ones that I did manage to watch last night was Aquaman. It just popped up on my timeline. It's new release for at least our region, I guess. I don't know if in the American ones, but yeah, man. And I just watched that again last night, and it's one of those movies that I personally just love. It's tight, it's solid, it's such a good film. The casting was brilliant. I love Momoa as Aquaman. It was a perfect origin story, hero's journey type of film. As good as any of the Marvel ones, as good as Wonder Woman, in my personal opinion. And I was going right the way down to I picked up on the audio last night. It was just such a good score, and particularly the parts where they were down in the depths of the ocean, coming up to Atlantis in her little fish-like subcraft, and the music there was just very reminiscent of Tron. For me, it was very synth. It was very trying to give it a futuristic kind of feel to it, even though it was just under the ocean. I can't fault that movie, man. I loved it.
Yeah, and the thing, I watched it longer, and I definitely, like you said, it popped up on Netflix, and I want to definitely give it a rewatch. But the thing I remember was Black Manta's score that jumped out at me the first time I watched it. It was like very like, I don't know, it gave his character so much beef, like, and I was like, yeah, it's if I remember correctly, it was like the synthy rock sort of like vibe.
Yeah.
So I really, like big ups to that. I definitely want to watch it again, because I think when I watched it, it was in cinema, but dude, I can't remember. I just traveled, so I was like so tired, but I was like wanting to watch Aquaman. It was the worst time to go watch it because I was like, so I definitely want to give it another chance. But I mean, what I did see was I liked the like strange, likely Indiana Jones vibe to it, like that adventure kind of thing, even though it was, where they're like running through that, and Black Manta's busy attacking them, and
that little town in Sicily, Italy. Yeah.
So no, that was cool. I digged it.
Yeah, man. So I please watch it again, see what you think on the second run. I've watched it many times, and I had this break between watches, and last night I thought, let me just put it on again, and it still holds up. It's just I love it. It's just such a nice film.
Nice.
Also got to watch, so now I'm going to go to the top of my list here. Luckily, it's filming in this kind of format. I can have a second screen, and I can just glance, and I can see what I want to go through. Jupiter's Legacy is one that I did recently get to watch. It came out, and I think I binged the whole thing in one Saturday. So it wasn't too heavy on the episodes. I think there was about 10 to 12. It's based on the comic book by, I think, Mark Miller.
Yeah, it is Mark Miller.
Yeah, one of the Miller World ones. And if I remember correctly, I think Frank Quitely did the art in the comics. It was an interesting concept for me. I enjoyed the casting. I think the actors were well casted. Josh Duhamel surprised me as main character. I forget his name right now.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of it, and I also can't remember. I just remember the son's name is
Samaritan.
Oh yeah, because the son's name is Paragon, is it? I think
so, and he was Samaritan. And then there was the brother and the wife, and I liked it. I think it was an interesting take on superheroes and the Justice League, if you like, and more an aged Justice League, a Justice League that, as the name Jupiter's Legacy would suggest, they've had kids. Most of the members have. Supes or metahumans seem to be kind of the norm in that world. People are used to them or accustomed to them, and it's now, a very Kingdom Come-esque kind of theme to it. Like this new generation don't have the same moral code as the originals do. They take things maybe a little bit too extreme, or at least they want to take things to more extremes and create their own kind of more violent code. So I saw a lot of that came from all the way back in the Kingdom Come sort of graphic novel message. What else did I like about it? I don't know if this is how it is. I haven't read the graphic novels. I have them. I haven't read them. But I know there was two. There was the Jupiter's Legacy, and then there was one that focused more on the original team. And I got the sense watching the TV show that they took both graphic novels and they interwove them. So as the story is unfolding, you see them now currently and their kids and what's happening. And then you see almost the origin story of how they became the heroes that they became. Almost like you said, the Indiana Jones quest they had to go on to find the alien technology that made them, etc., etc. But overall, I enjoyed it, and it was interesting for me. When I was watching it, I called the main villain, I think in episode 1 or episode 2. And the way that they did the story, it swayed my, almost convinced me that maybe I was wrong. That, oh, shit, no, maybe I've completely pegged this the wrong way. And I got caught in the whole mystery of what's happening and who is the main villain. And then the last episode, shit happens and you see who it is. And I was like, fucking I knew it. I had it. Damn it. Should have stuck to my guns. But, I enjoyed it overall. Now, I've heard rumors that they may not carry it on, and Josh Duhamel is trying to get it picked up by another network so they can carry on with the story and stuff.
Because I'd forgotten, dude, but I've watched the first 1 or 2 episodes. And yeah, I mean, I definitely got the same sense of you. I definitely want to watch more and make time. But yeah, I liked the concept that was going. And, something that stuck out to me was the conversation between the main guy and his brother, and him saying that we do the same formula over and over, and, what has it really helped? And it's always that sort of argument that, people make, that they have power, So I think it's a very relevant topic still. We were just, I don't know if the video recorded, we hope, but we were just talking about power in the real world and how it's, how it corrupts. So, so no, I definitely want to watch the rest of it. But I also did hear the same rumors as you that it's not being continued, which is, it's a pity. But I also think, because I mean, you had told me that Netflix had bought all of Miller World's property.
Yeah,
So for me, it makes sense for them to like make it work. If they spend all their money on all their property, it's like maybe I don't know. Maybe they're playing us and seeing how much interest there is, and
maybe.
and then they'll be like,
Uh,
okay, we'll make a second season. We always were going to, but
I think I did hear that there was a spike in viewing and everything once all these rumors around it potentially being cancelled came out. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we could hype
yeah.
it up. On a similar note, also a TV series based on comic books that I had touched on a while ago in one of our earlier podcasts. I want to do my normal thing and say we'll put the link up here, but we still have to get to doing that at some point. But it was that Deadly Class. It also came to Netflix. I originally watched it on a different streaming platform here, and now that's on Netflix too. And I started to watch a bit more of it, but I got sidetracked with other things. I haven't finished season 1 yet, and I know you saw it too, and you guys started watching it. What did you think?
Yeah, so it feels like so long ago, man. Like it almost feels like it's that I can't remember if I've talked about it or not, but I enjoyed it, dude, in a nutshell. Like, I really liked the whole concept. You had explained because I know you went and got the deluxe editions, or library editions, whatever you call.
Yep.
And I love the whole idea that it sounds cheesy, but that it carries through, even though it's this like assassin school, that there's still like the jock faction and the little like emo kids and the punk rock kids, and the part of me that liked it was that the series was rooting for the little punk rock kids. So to
Yeah.
me, I could especially it appealed to me because I kind of grew up in that sort of era, and I was like a rebel and no one understood me and boo hoo hoo, and that was my vibe, dude. So and I would dress like aggressively to kind of shock people on purpose, because you kind of feed into that. Once people treat you differently, you go, okay, well maybe I am different, and it's this like self-fulfilling prophecy. So
Yeah.
I know I took that really flippin', but yeah. So and the action scenes and everything, I really, in a nutshell, I digged it. Yeah, I thought it was really cool. So
Yeah.
much so that if I do get the spare cash, I also want to get the library editions of it and actually read and follow the story more closely and see like what's different and what's not from the comics.
100%. And I only got the first 2 library editions. I think there is a fourth one, so I even need to catch up there if I'm going to finish that series off. But yeah, definitely, I need to finish the season, and then I need to invest and sit down and read and add that to my list, long, ever-growing list of shit that I do need to read and get around to at some point. Another one that came out that I was waiting for, and I'm hoping that they're going to do another season still, was season 4 of Castlevania.
Okay.
That's that Netflix original anime that they've put together based on the old Nintendo game. And season 4 already. Again, animation, just, I love it. It's my kind of anime. It's vampires, which is also in my fucking wheelhouse. It's the Dracula story. It's not the Van Helsings, but the Belmont family that's hunting him down. And dude, it was a good season. Story follows on. It was almost more centered because this is potentially spoilers. At the end of season 3, they do defeat Dracula and his whole uprised army, and this was just fuck, I'm having a mark problem. This one was properly centered around life after Dracula, a world post Dracula and his forces, and that, and you kind of see a bit of a turmoil, discord between the vampire factions, worlds. What happens there? The Belmont and his sort of chick, and that they're trying to rid the world of the remaining vampire populations. There's Alucard, who's Dracula's son. He's quite a powerful force in his own right, and he's trying to cope with. Well, he's just inherited the entire Dracula castle and the name, and what does he do with it? And there is a proper villain that kind of this whole story builds up to, and they all have to reunite again. Belmont, Alucard, and I forget the other chick's name, to stop this new force, this new villain, and background bleed. I'm surprised my dogs haven't gone ballistic and barked. But yeah, they come together and they have to stop this force, and they've set up that there could potentially be a 5th season. So I'm there if they do it. It's Warren Ellis, and I know Warren Ellis in the comic world has caught a lot of shit thanks to the whole Me Too movement, and stuff's come out about him not being such a nice guy, especially with interns and youngsters, girls trying to break in. But, you know, if I just focus on the work and what he's done, I love Warren Ellis. I've always loved his writing. I've loved his stuff that he did with that Next Wave. I told you about that. Was hysterical. Great book. We'll put a thing up of Next Wave. If you can find it, get it. When he was on The Authority, his stuff on The Authority was amazing. A lot of the other stuff he did for Avatar Press, some dark, gruesome kind of shit there. But I love his stuff, man. Warren Ellis is top notch as far as writing goes in Marvel. Another one that I could probably talk on, man, for fucking hours, because I've got notes up the yin-yang here, was they did another season. It finally came out. We knew it was coming, but it does take a while for these things to happen. It was that Love, Death, and Robots. Second season. You know, we were talking about it that night when we were all together at Timmy's house, and dude, some of those clips are... It felt shorter, firstly. The second season did feel like there were less episodes than the first one. But still, for my money, and I'll stick to this probably until I die, I think it's the best initiative that Netflix has, that whole concept of let's just approach animation studios all around the world. You guys have a set time limit to tell a story, so craft your story, animate the thing, and then submit it. And, you know, like with the first season, there were one or two that were a bit of hit and miss for me. Not too many that I can think of that missed completely, but for the most part, the stories they're impactful, they're punchy. A lot of them get you in the feels. A lot of them deliver a message that makes you go, it's not like wow, but it just goes, sheesh, wow, okay, yeah. If we carry on the way we're doing, we might get to this type of a future or whatever the case might be. I like the different animation styles that come out of it. A lot of it is CG heavy, but I'm liking that it's not let's try and make life like realistic CG all the time. You know, there was one or two clips where, I'll be honest with you, I could not tell if it was computer generated or real. That's how good they've gotten in some of these places, but you can see that there's guys doing CG animation, but it could be pencil drawn. It's that good, or it's that abstract, or it's that off the wall, and I really like that. I mean, there was one about immortals that were killing newborn kids because the Earth can only sustain so many people on it. There's only so many resources. That one was kind of like dark, but also still got you in the feels there. There was one about train, that this guy's on a train journey and the train stops at a certain point and he gets off the train and he wants to venture out, and the conductor says, don't go too far. Just that one, the animation there felt almost like it was pencil drawn or a clay type of animation, but I liked it. It was just different animation, but I know it was CG done, but just the way they approached it, I like that kind of stuff, man. There was that Christmas one that was very stop motion animation, almost like taking you back to a different kind of Nightmare Before Christmas. Really dug that one, and that one was dark. I don't know if you remember it, but like Santa that comes down, and that is like a bit of a blend between Krampus and Santa, and fucking pray you were a good kid kind of thing. So that one stuck with me. I really enjoyed that too. Man. There was a giant episode where a body of a giant washes up, kind of like Gulliver's Travels.
Oh yes, I do remember that. And that like artist sits there and sort of narrates how, you know, the waves of people loving it and then getting bored of it. And I
Yeah,
remember that,
totally. And that was one of the ones that stood out to me too in terms of the lifelike animation. There were times where there was people in the crowd gathered around that giant's body, and I was like, "That real? That's CGI?" Like, man, that was top notch. Another one was, I think it was called Life Hutch, where this guy crash lands. There was a cosmic battle. He crash lands on a planet where there's a little deployed life station. He goes in there, and that guy just looked like Michael B. Jordan. I don't know if they got him to do the voice acting, but visually, it was like, I'm looking at Michael B. Jordan here, like unmistakable. And that stuff just freaks me out, how good they're getting with that sort of stuff. I don't know if any of you have that
you know, off the top of my head, dude, I'm gonna be honest, like some of the most of what you mentioned were the stick out moments for me, but you might not agree with this, but when I'd finished watching it, like I felt like season 1 was twice as strong. I felt like all of it, like you said, I feel like there was more hits than misses in the first season. And I thought that initially, and then I can't remember when it was, I had stuff playing in the background and started playing season 1. And then I just actually re-remembered, like, I don't know if you remember, there was that one where the cats sort of take over the universe, which was more like a dark but cartoony. Then there's that one, I don't know if you remember, I don't know the actor's name, but they open their freezer and there's a whole little world in there. And that
evolves over time.
That to me was just so like, ew, dude. And there's a few others that I can't think of now, but I just felt like overall season 1 was way stronger. Like season 2, it almost, you know, when you watch something initially and it lets you down, but then you think about it after a while and you're like, okay, no, it's actually quite cool. But I didn't have the same initial like season 1. But I agree with you for the whole. I hope they carry on. I hope the style of what Netflix done trickles down to other departments. So, like, let's approach a few little documentary makers, and each person makes a small, impactful documentary or a small little short film. Or so it's not only limited to animation. I love that. I love that. It you know, maybe out there's a storyteller trying to think of the perfect animation, and then they see one of those Love, Death, and Robots, and they're like, I need to approach those guys. You know, because so I think it opens the doors to trickle down to. And maybe, you know, the animation guys can then like cross collaborate with some of the dudes doing documentaries and create even, you know, better content, you know. So to me, and with the way remote workflows are going, you know, people can work remotely and stuff. So I hope that Netflix keeps doing that, and I hope they do that with more than animation. But I love the concept. I think it's freaking cool.
Agreed. And I mean, you've got a more personal touch because you've done short story type films in your past with people you knew, friends, etc.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm sure it's something that sits close to your heart.
and that's exactly it. It's a bit naive, but I thought to myself when I've done a few of those things and they were passion projects, and I go, imagine I could do this for a living, where we've got to create a short, impactful story. Everyone's getting paid their salaries. No one's like, I need to ditch this because I need to go find a paying job or something. And you can actually do these little mini projects that you want to make really impactful and like actually like get people thinking, and you get paid for it. You know, it's like a win-win, you know. Like I said in our previous conversation, if everyone, I know it's a really naive way of looking at the world, but if everyone was doing something they loved, I think it would directly be beneficial to everyone else. Unless you want to destroy the world and that's your love, you know. But I think everyone like wants to secretly be a knife maker or a comic book writer or, you know, a doctor or a fucking astronaut or a fireman or, you know, and I think if everyone had that opportunity, I think we would all get way more richful content and not like this empty flipping like TikTok shit that we get where people are trying to be celebrities and girls are just only trying to take off their clothes because they're like, well, this seems like the easiest way to do this, you know, like, I don't know, man. It feels like people would try harder if they were getting incentivized right. So I know I would. So.
Agreed.
Sorry, that was a bit of like a. But
that's normally my department. That you go off like that now and then.
This is true.